Breaking news, the earthquake that rattled the East Coast today.
It was something, wasn't it? It was a 5.8 quake based in Mineral, Virginia. Buildings were evacuated all over this state. In New Haven, folks ran out into the streets in the downtown area.
News 8's Aaron Cox talked to some of those folks who gathered right on the New Haven Green.
Seems like a picnic, almost party atmosphere here on the New Haven Green, but folks working in some of the bigger office buildings located right here downtown say when they felt the rocking and the rolling, this is where they came to feel safe.
All of a sudden, I could feel like a little sway, and then the other people said, "Did you feel that?" And I said, "Yeah, I did." And then people started saying, "Let's get out of here." And because we're on the 26th floor of this building, so yeah, it was scary.
Many folks evacuated to the New Haven Green report first feeling the ground move, then feeling a need to get out fast.
We all looked at each other and just thought it was good to leave.
And I went outside, and all my coworkers were saying, "The building is shaking, the building is shaking." So, we sort of waited for hear that alarm sound, but we didn't hear anything, so we all decided we were going to leave. It got kind of scary.
Barbara Joy holds a flag, so folks in her office know where to be so everyone can be accounted for, something they've practiced, but today really put into action.
This was quite unexpected, but we were prepared. We have a receptionist who comes out and takes an attendance for everybody so we know where everybody is. We have the flag so that we know where to meet.
New Haven City officials activating the Emergency Operations Center. Inspectors sent out checking on possible damage to high-rise apartment and office buildings. Meantime, those folks on the green spent their time on cell phones, texting, calling, and you overheard the same thing. Did you feel it? Did you feel it? A lot of these folks tell us this was a true example of how the office evacuation plan can really work. Reporting on the scene in New Haven, I'm Aaron Cox, News 8.
And New Haven Mayor John DeStefano tells News 8 his first priority was to determine the safety of key structures around the city.
What we immediately did is contact our urgent facilities, the hospitals, make sure everybody was operating, in the tennis center, frankly, where we had a match in progress, and we evacuated the building over there. What we then put in place were teams of building inspectors and fire officials to go out and check building by building what condition they were in.
And the mayor says the only problem that was discovered was what he called a minor gas leak at a downtown high-rise.
In Bridgeport, the quake also forced a lot of folks out of their buildings.
That's right. They were sitting right in their offices, and then suddenly things just began to shake.
News 8's Jamie Murrell is live in Bridgeport tonight with more on how folks made it through a tension-filled afternoon. Jamie.
We talked with one woman actually that was quite scared about all this. This is McLeavy Hall right behind me, this brown building, very solid building, and folks in there on the third, fourth floor said they felt the building going back and forth very slight. That building was evacuated, and in another spot in Bridgeport, well, that building moved and then the water fell. Bridgeport, after the quake, a shock in one of the YMCA racquetball courts on Park Avenue.
A member had come in to play racquetball, notified one of our staff. Our staff said, "Hey, we have water, something must have happened." And I didn't even think about the earthquake, because it wasn't that, we felt it, we shook and stuff like that. But sure enough, we came in here, we had a sheet of water coming in from the crack in the ceiling onto the racquetball court.
The rest of the Park City was just fine. Well, the buildings were just fine. Some that felt the earth move or the buildings sway were, if you pardon the pun, shaken.
I was just doing my rounds. I was on the third floor, and actually I started feeling something shaking. I thought it was like a gas pipe or explosion or something like that. But then the people on the fourth floor came downstairs, and it was like, "Did you feel that?" So I was like, "Okay, the building is shaking. What is going on?"
Across the street is McLeavy Hall, which was evacuated after the tremors were felt.
I was sitting there, and the chair started swaying back and forth, and I thought maybe they were upgrading and giving us massage chairs, but I had no idea what was going on.
The building was checked and folks went back to work about an hour later. As for the YMCA, no racquetball in Court 2. This room has dealt with enough shaking for one day until the pipe is fixed that runs above the seam on the roof. Tim, are you from Connecticut?
Yes, I am.
Did you ever think you'd be talking to the media about an earthquake at the YMCA in Bridgeport?
I would have said no, but then again, we had the tornado last year, so who knows? I don't know. Hopefully there's no locusts.
Good to have a sense of humor about that. Now, when you speak with the city, they say that Southern Connecticut Gas did kind of make the rounds and checked to make sure all the lines were okay. An inspector actually went into McLeavy Hall, as we mentioned, checked that out, everything's okay. As far as the YMCA, what they're going to have to do now is, again, think of a racquetball court, usually have the very tall ceilings. They've got to get scaffolding or something in there, get up there, cut open the roof, fix that pipe, then put that ceiling back, and then they can play racquetball once again. We're live in Bridgeport. Jamie Muro, News 8.
All right, Jamie, have some work ahead there. Well, people who live and work in the capital city of Hartford also felt the effects of the quake. Nerves were rattled and buildings evacuated. And just up the road in Windsor Locks, Bradley International became the go-to airport for planes being diverted from Washington and New York. News 8's Bob Wilson is live in Hartford with the latest on that. Bob?
That's right. We have the Bradley International Airport, as well as we also have the train station down here that also had to stop. Amtrak had to stop service for a little while. Meanwhile, here in Hartford of the streets, the Capitol had to be evacuated. Also, DMV, DOT, they took to the streets when the building started to shake up here ever so slightly. We talked to a lot of people here. One man right here in this very building saying he felt it.
I was sitting there working on the computer. All of a sudden, it kind of shook a little bit, and I looked over to the left at the window, and the window seemed to be kind of moving a little bit, or perhaps the blinds did.
Now, the mayor did open up the EOC Emergency Management Center over here only for a brief time. There was no damage to the buildings. Meanwhile, they say everything here is fine, just nerves a little frayed. I'm Bob Wilson, reporting live in Hartford, News 8.